Mike McDaniels. I like him as a coach. I think that he's awesome offensive mind.
Guy's a fucking cornball, dude. I can't.
He
He's a cornball.
interviewer. Great interviewer.
He is a cornball, and you know what? I'm gonna say it. We're gonna start this fucking show off hot. Mike McDaniels, after this season, either needs to get fired or his ass needs to get on that hot seat because his time needs to be near. It needs to be done. All About the Balls podcast with Mark Davis, Kriska Meinhardt, Ruth Rule, Jake Winnikine, Alan Tomasella, and Nick the Doc Skirkle. Welcome aboard to All About the Balls podcast. I'm Mark Davis. That's Kriska Meinhardt. That's Alan Tomasella. And we are here to present the first episode of 8 episodes of the NFL division breakdown, a little NDB. And we're going to start with Alan's division, the American Football Conference, the AFC East. So we're going to talk Bills, Jets, Patriots, and the Dolphins. But before we do that, Alan, this is your division. How are you doing as we get to talk about the New England Patriots and the other 3 potential Super Bowl attendees?
Yeah, man, I'm doing great. I just got confirmed on my ship out date, so I'm getting ready for that. I'm going to be heading out pretty soon, and then I'm just chilling at my job. Just went back to my job for a little bit, just a little pit stop, and heading off to that active duty. So, looking forward to the season. I think the Patriots are gonna have a good year this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about them. I'm actually a little bullish on them. But Chris, how are you doing as we are starting the first episode of this 8-episode series that we do every single year?
Mark Davis, very excited to be here in the Sack House with you, of course, and Alan. Very excited to start division breakdowns. I know this is one of our first that we did a while back ago. So this will be our, second time going through?
I think third time. I think we did it every year, if I'm not mistaken.
Are we already going on year 3 of the podcast?
Yeah, we completed 2 years, so we're working on year 3. The draft was pretty much the second year anniversary.
Holy fuck. We've been doing this for a while. Excited. Yep. I mean, what better way to start with a very competitive division?
Yeah, I would say probably, unfortunately, the worst division, as in like talking wise. So we're gonna get that out of the way now. I'm excited, guys, but I had to get 4 new tires today. $1,000 to get everything done. I gotta get alignment checked this weekend as well. So a little rough, but I had to do what I had to do. But please give us a like, follow, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, the X, and Instagram. But like I said tonight, we are starting off with a good team, in my opinion, who's gonna get better every single year. They might not be a playoff team this year, but we are going to start off with the New England Patriots. Alan, that's your team.
Look at them boys.
Out of Fox.
Look at them boys.
You know, a lot of stuff happened in the offseason. You guys fired Jared Mayo, only got a 1-year stint. You bring in Mike Vrabel, former Titans head coach, former New England Patriots Super Bowl winner as a linebacker. You bring back Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator, and then, you get Stephon Diggs. Hopefully not doing coke on the field. Allegedly, he was doing it off the field. Great, you bring in some linemen like Garrett Bradbury, Morgan Moses. You draft short arm Will Campbell. You get some running back with Travion Henderson. You bring in Carlton Davis, Milton Williams. You bring in some good players. You lost a couple defensive linemen, but I'll start off, man, or I'll open up the floor to you guys. How do you feel about the New England Patriots going forward this year?
Yeah, I think that the Patriots, we looked at the schedule. We talked about it the last time on a schedule release, and I think that the Patriots have a good opportunity to double their win total from last year. I think that they can get to 8 or 9 wins. I think that we've done a lot to bring in new talent. We've done a lot to bring in some young guys that are going to be able to impact the team, and I'm really excited to see what Mike Vrabel can do. He's a good guy, so I kind of feel like it's going to be a year of there's going to be some growing pains, but Drake May in his second year, I think he's probably going to show – to me, I think Drake May is going to show the biggest increase when it comes to production from all of the quarterbacks from last year. Now, that's not to say that I don't think that he's going to be better than Jaden Daniels, this year. But I think that from where he was last year to where he's going to be able to be at this year is going to be a higher increase compared to what Jaden Daniels is going to show as far as an increase, because Jaden Daniels was already crazy last year. I don't think that he's going to have that much of a increase. But I don't think that is a stretch to say that I think Drake May could be the guy that has the biggest increase in his production level going into this year.
I think Josh McDaniels, I like what he's saying. I think Josh McDaniels can bring out the best in Drake May. Now, it's obviously yet to be seen because he had most of his history was with Tom Brady. Tom Brady. It's not trying to compare the two, but, a guy that he did go 3-9 in the 12 starts, but I thought he showed a lot of promise, Chris, and a lot of flash. Now, obviously, had some bad stuff, but you bring in Stephon Diggs, you draft Kyle Williams. Hopefully, you start using more of Hunter Henry. You start using them. You got the 2 running back system with Trayvon Henderson and Stevenson. The running game actually wasn't that bad for the Patriots. If you look at the total, they were actually 13th in rushing as a team.
Yeah, excited to see what Drake May does, if he can do that step forward and not the step back sophomore slump like we saw CJ do. Rough OTAs for him. Had a few OTAs with some picks. I think a 61% passing completion, but hey, OTAs. But I mean, not the step you want to get off. But Josh McDaniels,
he's still learning a new system, so it's like you're gonna take some time to grow a little bit with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that they have a very favorable schedule to at least double their wins from last year. I think with new coaching coming in, they definitely beefed up the offensive line. Would have wished to see Ashton Genty there to protect Drake May. That would have been really nice. Instead of
definitely
short arm. Will Campbell.
We went over this, and I am excited about what Travion Henderson is going to be able to bring to the table, and I like the running back system that we have. If we're able to lean on that and take away some of that pressure off of the quarterback in the passing game, I think that that's going to be a benefit. And Will Campbell and his little tiny short arms, he hopefully he's able to lock guys up and not hold too much. But I think Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, that running game is going to be able to take a lot of pressure off. And we know that Josh McDaniels can run a good system that's going to get the benefit out of the quarterback, but also run the ball pretty effectively. And Travion Henderson is electric. I watched more of his tape. I'm falling more for him. I think he's phenomenal. I think that it's going to be a great boost to us. I don't particularly like our pass catchers, but at the end of the day, Josh McDaniels never really had phenomenal pass catchers. So I don't think that that's like something that's going to hold us back. I think these guys are going to be able to be useful in his system, and it's going to be all on Drake May, kind of like we see with Josh Allen. I'm not making that comparison, but I think that all of that put together,
he's got to do more with less, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to have to do more with less, and I think we're going to have to rely on Drake May's legs, and if we can do that, I think Drake May can unlock that. I think that's where we're gonna see the benefit.
I'm also interested, boys, to see how they do on the D line, because you do lose one of your sack artists, or I would say artist, but the guy that led it with Wise. But where are the sacks going to come from too? I don't doubt Mike Vrabel's ability to get a defense going. I mean, he was usually pretty good with Tennessee. I mean, I know you bring in Milton Williams. I mean, you're going to get hopefully Barrymore back. I just want to know where the sacks going to come from with this unit.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be individual players getting those, going out and making the plays to get those sacks. I think it's going to be system. I think it's going to be all system. I think we're going to be able to do it with our defensive backs. We're scheming up packages for blitzing off of the edge with the corners, and trying to create pressure that way. Again, Mike Vrabel, I can't recall like Mike Vrabel having crazy defensive lines in the past, and I don't think that it's been something that
Simmons and Justin Simmons was his big one.
Yeah, but I don't think that it was like, all right, we're just gonna let this guy go and get sacks on his own. Yeah. It was all schemed, and that's where I'm not really pressured about it. I think that our defense is going to be good. We've done a really good job, with our defensive backs, and this is going to be an opportunity. Christian Gonzalez is phenomenal, And I think that putting us on a stage where we're going to win more games, I think that people are going to see a little bit more about why Christian Gonzalez is so fucking good as a corner.
I'm going to put this on record right now. I think the New England Patriots are going to be second place in the AFC East. I think they're going to go past the Miami Dolphins. The New York Jets are not, a team that I'm worried about that's going to take that division by storm. Obviously, Buffalo number one. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. We'll talk about them in a minute. But I have the New England Patriots as the number 2 team in the AFC East, and I am, like I said, a little bullish on this team. I think that they are going to double their wins from last year. They were 4-13. And we're going to talk the over-under in just a few seconds, but I believe second place for the New England Patriots. I am a little bought in. I wouldn't be surprised if they may make a wild card push, but I don't think that happens this year. But I think 8 to 9 wins, that's a definite good range for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that Patriots could be the number 2 in the division. I'm probably going to end up having them there at number 2 in the division. But I'm going to go on record here and say that I think Miami's going to have the worst record, and I think that we're gonna get into the Jets and we're gonna get into Miami here in a little bit. But once we get there, I think the Dolphins are gonna have the worst record in the division.
I don't know about that one, but
yeah, I mean that's a big take right there. I mean, I can see the Patriots maybe being 2 or 3 here. Look, the roster for the Patriots is virtually unrecognizable from last year, so it's hard to compare last year's Patriots team to this year's Patriots team. There's a lot of turnover coach-wise and roster-wise. But, I mean, I think it's going to be a shaky season. Year number 2 for Drake May. New coach, new offense. Will he be able to bring it together?
But like
favorable schedule, like
I
said.
That's what I was going to say. Favorable schedule. This is when when Alan mentioned, like, I don't know if we were off air or we were talking like rookies or whatever, but he mentioned like the Patriots have a favorable schedule. When I look back at it, I was like, yeah, this schedule is pretty easy. I mean, I can see 8 to 9 wins. I believe they can win 8 to 9 games. I really do. I just for some reason think that McDaniels and Vrabel, they're going to bring some life into this team. That's the Vrabel way, though. He expects perfection. He treats you like grown men, and he actually participates with them he's a player's coach. He honestly is.
Listen, if we can get Stephon Diggs on the sideline passing out coke to our wide receiver team the way he was passing it out to the host, I think that we could have some really good guys. I mean, they're going to put on the burners and start blitzing guys. I think we can go pretty far with that.
Well, speaking of that, the over-under for Vegas is 8.5. I mean, that's right there. They believe the Patriots are going to make a big jump. They believe they're at the potential of doubling their wins. So do the New England Patriots, as of late May, do you believe they're going to be over or under 8.5 games?
That one right there, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with the under because I think that 8 wins is the safe bet, like the safe move. Maybe as we get closer to the season, if that number pushes to 7.5, then I'm definitely doing the over because I do think that we get 8 to 9 wins. But the 8.5 is a little bit of a stretch. I don't think the 9 is at a lower probability for me, and I think that just to be safe, if you're going to take that bet, you got to go on the under.
I'm going over. I think I'm bold. I'm going 9. I believe it's a 9-win team as of late May. Now, obviously, when we do our predictions, in late August or early September, that could change. But I have 9 wins at the moment for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, the ceiling for this Patriots team, I have about 10 wins, and then the floor is going to be that 7 to 8 wins.
So
I think that's fair.
You have a ceiling and a floor, but what are you taking right now?
We'll find out when we do our official predictions.
No, I respect that. I think it's because you guys see what injuries happen to later on. This is obviously in a perfect scenario if obviously everyone's healthy and whatnot. But I'm just not. I'm a fan of the schedule for them, and that's what it is too. And I think they're going to be better on offense than we think.
No, I agree. I think Drake May does take that step forward.
Moving on to the New York Jets, another team with some changeover. Definitely, they fired Robert Saleh, new general manager as well. They bring in Eric Glenn, a player's coach, what everyone keeps saying. So maybe he will be a better head coach than he was defense coordinator for the Lions. They bring in Justin Fields. They bring in some defensive linemen, Derek Nottie. They bring in some secondary guys with Cisco, Stevens. The draft was a little interesting. They went Membu to beef up that line, Mason Taylor at tight end, and then Obviously you lose some D-line and Aaron Rodgers, and they were 5-12 last year. So, guys, what do we think about the New York Jets as we move into 2025 for this team?
Yeah, so I mean, almost like the Patriots, the Jets had an overhaul as well, coaches and staff. You bring in Aaron Glenn, what we saw he did defensively over in Detroit. I I really think that carries over, and I think the Jets are high on defense, but I'm very skeptical about this offense. I know they have Brees Hall still, they have Sauce, but how much does Justin Fields bring? I mean, he's entering his fifth year. So we haven't seen a breakout season from him yet, and I still don't think we're going to see a breakout season for him. Yeah, he's a great game manager. He got it done in Pittsburgh last year, but it's hard for me
He
to
was
buy in.
average. He was average last year.
No, he was average. He was a game manager.
And I feel like if he was going to be the guy that everyone thought he was going to be in Chicago and even last year in Pittsburgh, you would have already seen it by now. Like these coaches would have already let him, kind of like unhandcuff him a little bit and let his leash go a little longer than what it is. But if they're not giving him like that full potential of letting him air it out, maybe they are seeing something that we are. I think he's got the talent, but obviously the talent only gets you so far. I mean, he's got to deliver. And that's not the case. He hasn't done it. And I believe this team is dependent on Justin Fields and the wide receivers because outside Garrett Wilson, they don't have much to throw to.
Yeah, and I mean this graph, I don't know, coming from NewYorkPost.com. So I did my research, but I don't know how true it is. The Jets have the lowest retention rate from this season, only returning 58% of the players, which is the lowest in the NFL. So it's big turnover for the Jets this year.
Yeah, so this is going to be a hot take here. I think that the Jets are going to be a competitive team. I don't think that they, are competing for the division. I don't think that they're competing for 8 to 9 wins. But I know we're going to go over the over unders. I think that the Jets are going to definitely hit that over. And I'm gonna throw my chips in on Justin Fields. Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn. I love Aaron Glenn as far as the energy that he brings to the team. I think he's gonna get the most out of those guys. I do like their defense. Obviously they have Sauce Gardner. I think that they've made some good moves there. Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields have chemistry. They have history. And I think, going back to what Mark said, as far as, teams handcuffing Justin Fields, yeah, they've done that. They've done that. But what we saw is every single year in Chicago is they handcuffed him. They kept him under a leash. But the times that they unlocked him and not unlocked his passing, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his legs, his electricity, what he can actually bring to a team. I think that if this Jets team is going to be able to be competitive, it's going to be through Justin Fields' legs. And they're going to try to, I think that they have to try to scheme up ways to get his legs involved in games. And if they can go in a way to do kind of like Lamar Jackson early in his career, where you're utilizing his legs to make the passing game easier, I think that that's where they're going to see the best increase in what Justin Fields can do. Unlock his legs and let his legs make his passing lanes easier to open up the field, because you've got to defend against what he can do on the ground.
Well,
And
it's all offensive line is going to be dependent because last year this was the 17th ranked offensive line. It's the only PFF stat I truly respect, and they had them 17th. Now they were 7th against the pass or pass protection. They were 7th. So does Membu bring in a little more kind of like athleticism for that offensive line? He's going to be playing left tackle as a true rookie. I'm sorry, right tackle. Is he going to be able to shore up that right side for a guy like Justin Fields?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the other thing. Comparing to the Baltimore Ravens, we said that it was a cheat code bringing in Derrick Henry with Lamar Jackson, and we saw it last year. How do you defend against what Lamar Jackson can do with his legs, and then you also got Derrick Henry in there? Which one are you following?
Well, are you saying Brees Hall is Derrick Henry? Because Brees Hall has
I'm saying Brees Hall. He has the nickname Brees Lightning. All right, that guy is is electric.
Last year we didn't see that though. That's things. Last year we didn't see that.
Did not see
last
that
year
last
they were handcuffed with Aaron Rodgers' offense, and Aaron Rodgers' offense has never really had dynamic running backs and the dynamic running game. And
Aaron Jones.
Eddie Lacy. Oh,
Aaron
Jones. Aaron Jones was electric. Was Aaron Jones
Eddie
electric?
Lacy in his prime.
He's not running 80-yard touchdowns. And Brees Lightning was doing that.
His rookie year.
Was doing that many times.
3 years ago.
Hey, listen. I think that he came off of an injury. Didn't he have an injury?
His rookie season. That was 3 seasons ago.
No, he was
2022. He got hurt. So he had 2023 and 2024. I don't know how long an injury needs to linger on for, but that's 2 seasons later. I mean, I get it. So I guess Kyle Pitts should get a pass in because his injury happened a couple of years ago too.
I'm
just saying though, if we're gonna say these injuries, if these injuries should linger on,
we've been waiting on Kyle Pitts to actually be an NFL player.
Yeah, but
Brees Lightning is an NFL player. He's one of the most dynamic running backs in the league.
His rookie season.
So the biggest. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that what Justin, if they are going to be successful, I love what Aaron Glenn does, but if they're going to be successful, it's going to be off of Justin Fields' legs. And if Justin Fields' legs opens up the passing game and Brees Lightning, I think that this can be a dynamic team. I'm not saying this team is competing for a Super Bowl. I'm not saying this team is competing for the division because they're not. But I think that whatever their over-under is, if it's 4.5 games, 5.5 games, I think they're doing better than that. I think this team can win 7 games. Their ceiling to me is 9 games, but that's like everything going right and the team rallying and being great behind Justin Fields. I don't think that they get to 9 wins at all, but I'm saying that's the ceiling to me. But I think 7 wins is a good spot for them. And I think this team can be very competitive. Like I said, I think the Dolphins are going to be the worst in the division.
So my only concern about the Jets is like you keep mentioning Aaron Glenn. He has nothing to do with the offense. He's a defensive coach. His hands are going to be purely defense. Then you look at the offensive side. They brought in Tanner, Engstrand? Last time he played calls was 2020 in the XFL, which he shared calling plays. Then he ran passing meetings with the Lions last year. So
and they had a pretty good passing game.
He doesn't have much experience beyond that calling plays. Okay. So
and I think another thing too is Justin Fields is going to have to rely kind of what got him those 4 wins. 3 of the 4 wins with the Steelers was mainly the defense. You look at the first 3 wins, it was all defense. That's what he's going to have. He needs the New York Jets to look like the New York Jets before they fired Robert Saleh on that defensive side. They were really good. Then they were a roller coaster once Saleh got fired. They need that defense to do what they did last year. They need Sauce Gardner to step back up and go back to being an all-pro, and they need that defensive line to keep eating. Will McDonald had a pretty good year, 10 sacks. Let them keep progressing. This team is the same talented team the Pittsburgh Steelers were last year. It's the same thing. They're the same offense.
I mean,
Garrett Wilson
minus TJ Watt. I mean, and I'm not even high on TJ Watt.
But offensive wise,
okay,
this is the same team as the Pittsburgh Steelers were last year.
Yeah, I think Garrett Wilson is a better wide receiver as far as skill talent goes. I think he's a better wide receiver.
But I think the Steelers had better options in the overall wide receiver department and tight end than the Jets do. Outside Garrett Wilson, who are you throwing to? Alan Lazard, who might be traded once Aaron Rodgers signs to the Steelers. Josh Reynolds. I mean, are we like this is
LSU,
Mason Taylor's a rookie tight end. I get that, and I think he can be good, but he's a rookie tight end.
So, what did Brock Bowers do last year as a rookie tight end? Tight ends actually do well.
But you're trusting this offensive coordinator, like Chris said, who hasn't called play since the XFL and the COVID season. So, I mean, it's just you're asking. It's a lot of a what if scenario to me for the New York Jets.
Yeah, no, I mean, Mark, I agree. That's literally what I said to begin with. Is that I think they're going to have to rely on this defense. Like I feel like the Jets have always done is have to rely on the defense. And I believe Aaron Glenn's going to make the offense or the defense step up, like Robert Saleh.
And I think they'll play for him hard. I think he is a good player, coach. Like the players are going to love to play for him. Don't get me wrong there. I'm not doubting that neither.
I'm not saying that this is going to be an electric offense that they're going to score, 20, 25 points or a game or something like that. And they're going to average, over 200 yards rushing in a game. But I do think that this is a team that can squeak out 7 wins. I think that that's a good number for them, and I think that that is going to come off of the defense and electric plays, not electrifying offense, but just plays. There's going to be big moments if they stay in games, and then that one moment happens in each game. That's going to be enough to get them to win those games.
I'm taking the under. It is 5.5. I'm taking the under. I really believe the New York Jets are going to be battling with 3 other teams for the number 1 pick. I believe it'll be the Giants, the Jets, the Saints, no offense, Chris, and the Browns fighting for that number 1 pick. And I think Garrett Wilson and or Brees Hall will be traded by the trade deadline. I think they're going to start cleaning the slate and letting Aaron Glenn build to what he wants to build for the future. They give him a good release, hopefully. I really believe at least one of those guys is going to be traded before the deadline.
What's the under 5.5?
5.5.
Yeah, I could definitely see the under looking at their schedule right now. And that's squeaking by splitting with the Patriots.
And that's the problem is they have a pretty tough schedule, in my opinion, for what they have as on their roster. So it's like, I know opposite, like normally the 3 and the 4, usually that better team should have a harder schedule, but the Patriots have an easier schedule. And I think the Dolphins have a good top half of the first half of their schedule is pretty manageable for games. It's always the second half for the Dolphins, and then the Bills are the Bills. I just don't like with the Jets. I'm not a Fields guy. I mean, he hasn't won me over with anything.
No, like I said, I mean, he's entering his 5th year. The past 4 years, I haven't seen anything that jumps out to me except his fantasy value. Like I've said last year, probably the year before that, is that Justin Fields is a great fantasy quarterback. He's not a great NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and maybe I'm not mistaking, but maybe I'm just confusing what I feel is like going to be a good year fantasy wise with what just Justin Fields is going to do compared to what he's going to bring to the offense, in a real NFL setting. And I've said that already, that I think Justin Fields is going to be a very great value when it comes to fantasy football, but even then, I still think that this team has the opportunity to do something, and I'm not hopping on the we're tanking. And that's just because I don't feel like teams do that anymore. I don't think that they tank for those games. I think that teams are very competitive. And then they bring in a guy like Aaron Glenn, who is a player's coach. I think they're going to play hard for him. I think that that's going to be enough of a difference to make those game-changing plays that may win them a couple of games that they're not supposed to win. That's why I said that. I think that 7 wins is a good number for them. And even if they just hit 6, it's still hitting that over. And that's why I'm going with the over on it.
And we shall see. That's the New York Jets for you right there. 2025, always an interesting season for the New York Jets. Moving on to a team that Alan keeps talking about, it's going to be last place in the AFC East. That's the Miami Dolphins. 8-9 season. They dealt with some injuries. Tua got hurt. Jalen Waddle missed a couple games. The wide receivers, no one had 1,000 yards receiving in that department, not even the tight ends. And then I think a very boring offseason for them. They brought in Nick Westbrook, Akeen, and James Daniels. The draft, they didn't have many picks. They drafted Kenneth Grant, which adds to that electric defensive line that's getting Jalen Phillips back and Bradley Chubb. And you bring in an offensive lineman, Jonah Savania. Yeah. And then they had some big losses, though, with Javon Holland and Robert Jones, Raheem Mostert. Now we're going to find out who the running back 2 is going to be there. But, guys, the Miami Dolphins, South Beach, what's going on with these teams this year?
Yeah, I mean, Miami on paper and probably on the field is the fastest team in the NFL. And I think the offense is very talented, but just very inconsistent. And that has to do with Tua's health. I mean, I feel like it's every other week that he's out with a concussion. But I mean, it's almost like and I don't even want to compare it to them, but I feel like it's almost like the Bengals. The defense is just
no. The defense actually was good last year for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, they did do well last year. Yeah.
The offense regressed. The offense regressed.
Yeah, I mean, Tua missed like 3 or 4 weeks in the middle of the season.
I think he only played like 11 games last year. I think
there was a big stretch in the middle of the season where he was out. So
the problem with the Dolphins defense last year was they didn't get to the quarterback and they didn't turn the ball over. Like everything else was pretty solid for them. And they dealt with injuries. Bradley Chubb didn't play a single game. Jalen Phillips only played a few games. And that was at the end of the season. So the defensive line, the linebackers are good. I don't think the secondary is going to be good because I do think Jalen Ramsey is going to be traded at some point. So you're losing, in my opinion, Ramsey, and you've already lost Javon Holland, who is one of the better
That's
safeties.
a huge loss.
Huge loss.
They did bring in Kenneth Grant to hopefully bolster up the defensive line. And hey, if Tua goes out for a concussion,
well, the MILF Hunter's there first. He's got to beat him out.
Yeah, listen, I've been saying this all night. I've been saying it all night already. I think the Dolphins are going to have the worst. They're going to be the worst record in the division, and we already know that this isn't going to be a particularly competitive division in itself. So, looking at the schedule, I think that they've got some really tough games. Teams that aren't, on their, their division
games
components, the division games, and not and the ones that they're matched up against the other divisions. Even they got the Chargers in here, and they got Baltimore. Obviously, they got Buffalo, Washington, New Orleans. I'm kind of falling for Tyler's show over here. I think that New Orleans can be a little bit competitive this year.
You should be in the Instagram group chat. A lot of things you don't want to see about Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, they throw a lot of Tyler Shuck.
A lot of stuff you don't want to see about Tyler Shuck.
I told Chris, in a way, if he's good, it's good for one reason. I mean, so you can Google him and see who he's living with. But
Google his family.
Yeah, just Google his family.
All right, Google his family. All right, we'll do that. But I'm looking at Miami, and I think that. I'm worried about their defense. I don't think their defense is going to be able to keep up. Their offense is good, but they're just riddled with injury players. Like their entire offense, all of their guys are is Devon Achane going to miss a week? Is Tyreek Hill going to miss a week? Is Jalen Waddle going to miss a week? Tua's going to go out at some point for a freaking concussion again. Like what is going to happen? And they're just a ticking time bomb to me. I think that whatever their over-under is, I'm taking the under. And this team, again, like they were fun and flashy for a couple of years with Mike McDaniels. I like I like him as a coach. I think that he's awesome offensive mind, but I don't think that as a head coach he's able to really garner his the backing that he needs from his entire team.
Guy's a fucking cornball, dude. I can't.
He's a great interviewer. Great interviewer.
He is a cornball, and you know what? I'm gonna say it. We're gonna start this fucking show off hot. Mike McDaniels, after this season, either needs to get fired or his ass needs to get on that hot seat because his time needs to be near. It needs to be done. I think he's electrifying as a head coach, but you know what? Your 2-year window, that thing shut pretty close, pretty fast. So. That thing shut faster than Tyreek Hill runs his fucking 40. I mean, it's literally done. I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan of this team. Tyreek Hill took a step back. Tua's hurt. Achane played a lot of games last year. He played every single game. Is he going to be able to deal with the wear and tear? Who's the running back two? I mean, are they going to use a running back too? I don't know what's going on with this team. Jonnu Smith, they're talking about trading him. He was one of the better tight ends last year. Yep. He had 8 touchdowns last year. The guy was a beast. Yep. Mike McDaniel he's got to go. He's got to go if they don't make the playoffs this year. I don't care.
Yeah, but I don't think that the issue is Mike McDaniels. I think that you actually have something with him. I think that you got to do a soft reset. But at the end of the day, I don't think Mike McDaniels is the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem is the guys that they bought in on are injury riddled players, and you just don't know if they're going to be there week in and week out. And I do think that this is a ticking time bomb. These guys are going to be in and out, and this offense is not going to be able to run on the same efficiency that it normally runs on.
Hey, guess what? Ticking time bomb is a reflection of your coach who doesn't have control of the locker room.
No, when I say ticking time bomb, I mean ticking time bomb on injuries. Like I think somebody's going to get injured, and then that's going to take away. You take away Tyreek Hill with his dynamic speed and the way that he can get downfield. That already hampers what this offense is able to do. So even if he's not 100%, that's already taking away from what they're able to do on that offense. And then if he's injured and he's out of the game, then damn, that offense is already going to be hobbled. You take away Jalen Waddle, and all you've got is Tyreek Hill running fucking streaks just to take away safeties, and you're still getting you don't have any options underneath. You're going to trade Jonnu Smith. That's going to happen. They're already talking about they're not talking about. They said they're not going
Yeah.
into the season with Jalen Ramsey, so that guy is gone. That
The
defense is gone.
This secondary is literally like Doc said, Swiss cheese. This second, I like the front seven. Don't get me wrong. I like the linebackers and the defensive line. I think, but can they hold up all 17 games? Because this secondary, they have to get to the quarterback within 3 seconds, or these corners and these safeties, they're going to be getting ripped apart out there.
And this is exactly why I'm saying I'm going the under on it, no matter what it is. I think the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in the division. That's just where I'm at with it. I don't think there's as much that can change my mind on that. And again, when is Tua going to go out? He's gonna miss some games. He's gonna get another concussion. Something's going to happen to him, and they're just not. What have they done for their backup quarterback?
And even if Tua does stay healthy, because it happened, in 2023, and which, by the way, they said, and that's the problem. Mike McDaniels right there is, as a coach, I believe it is a reflection of him. 2023, you have a fucking 3-game lead with 5 games left of the season, and you blow it in December to the Buffalo Bills. You have to then go to Kansas City, which you get smoked out of the building and negative temperature. And I get it, cold weather team playing a hot weather team, whatever. I don't give a shit. You blew that. And even if Tua is healthy, the second half of the schedule is brutal, and I don't trust Tua or Mike McDaniels to propel this team to being anything good. I just think this team is they're just a joke.
No, I mean the offense has to stay healthy. That's the key thing. I don't think the defense is going to be great. I agree with you, Mark. I think if this team hits like the floor, which I can see 4-13 maybe, then
I respect them a little more than that. I just think they're just a joke of a team.
No, I mean I don't know. I don't believe too much in the defense, and then the injuries. This team could be heading to a rebuild.
Yeah, I mean that's where I've got them. I've got them at that 4 to 5.
Could be out of here.
And they should be, because they should have drafted Justin Herbert the same year that Joe Burrow went number 1, and they decided to go Tua over Herbert. And I get it. Herbert hasn't lived up to any potential yet, but he's still way better of a talent than Tua is.
They both still can't win games.
They both can't win playoff games. I'll give you that. And I think that Herbert is in a way better situation now, and I think he's happy to be in LA. But yeah, this team, you got the cornball at coach, you got Tua, you got Tyreek Hill, who's calling his coach out saying he wanted to punch him during the game on a podcast. Like this it's just that right there's a reflection of the cornball of a coach. He's a goofball. He's trying to be funny all the time, man. Fucking coach
funny.
Your team. No, he's not.
He is funny.
He's funny. He's funny when he's talking to his players in the headset. When he goes and talks to the press conference, he sounds like a dumbass. Like he's just an idiot. He doesn't sound funny. Like he's trying too hard to be funny. That's what it is.
I don't know if it's I think you hate him. I think that he's got this like quirky, nerdy like funniness, and I think that he understands that and he lives in that. And I think that he is funny in these press conferences. I
think it's funny when his team melts down every single year. I think that's funny.
I mean, you clearly have a personal agenda.
I am not
a personal agenda.
I'm not a Mike McDaniels fan, and in my opinion, I get it. He's been electric, but he came from Kyle Shanahan, by the way, who calls plays for the 49ers. So you got a job like the Andy Reid coaching tree. Andy Reid calls most of these plays. So when these OCs leave, they don't amount to much as a head coach. I mean, the same thing with Mike McDaniels. It's showing true. Yeah, you had a 2-year window with all this talent in the world. And, I get it. The first year that Tua was good, he got hurt, and you have Skylar Thompson playing Josh Allen in Buffalo. I get that. You get a little pass. But, you blew the season in 2023. Let's not forget that. So,
agreed.
Over-under is 8.5. I'm taking the under.
Oh, definitely taking the under on that. I mean, that is a lock to me. That's a bet that you go in, and that's a lock. You just take that under.
Chris?
Yep. I have under.
And that's the Miami Dolphins for you. Now on to the Buffalo Bills, the 5-time reigning AFC East champions. Went 13-4 last year. They lost by a field goal to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And a team that had an interesting offseason. They lose guys like Von Miller, Matt Collins, Rasul Douglas, and Amari Cooper. Cooper didn't do much, but the other 3 guys were kind of key at some points. But you bring in Joey Bosa. Can he stay healthy? They bring in Josh Palmer. You have an interesting draft. You go pretty heavy on the D-line with TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, Landon Jackson, and then first-round pick Maxwell Harrison. So, guys, I know it's a Super Bowl or bust year for the Bills, but what do we think the Buffalo Bills are actually going to do this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only team that's favored in every game this season when the spreads first came out. Josh Allen coming off that MVP form.
And in games
Also, hey, getting married this weekend.
it's this
Hey.
weekend.
Ooh.
I didn't
This
get my.
weekend,
I didn't
getting
get
married.
I didn't get my invite.
You
Yeah.
should have. You fucking suck him off hard enough. So probably more
Yeah.
than
I
more
won't.
than his.
I don't think that
Beyonce
you sent him
does.
enough. I don't think you sent him enough of our clips.
There's one game I won't be doing that this year. That's the game we play in. But every other game, go Josh Allen.
But yeah, no, I mean, I really like Josh Allen. I like the offense. James Cook, Dalton Kincaid. You have the rookie Keon Coleman. I think he's going to step up with Matt Collins and Amari Cooper going. I mean, yeah, you lose Von Miller, but he was aging. I think the defensive strengths, cornerbacks, Joey Bosa, like you mentioned, is coming in. Can he stay healthy? I think he's going to be a freak off the edge for them. I mean, I think
Well, that's what I was going to say, Chris. I think the wide receivers and tight ends. I understand like Josh Allen won MVP despite not having 1,000-yard receiver tight end. James Cook did get over 1,000 yards, just barely. But in the big games, these receivers, Shakir plays good, but Josh Palmer and Keon Coleman, they and Dalton Kincaid, they got to play big.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Matt Collins did in the playoffs. I mean, he was big in the playoffs for him.
Yeah, he had some good catches. And the defense too, like they're gonna be relying a lot of youth on this defense, I believe.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about the defense. I think that McDermott is a great coach when it comes on the defensive side, and I think that he's able to get the most out of players. I'm not worried about the defense. I'm not worried about the offense either because it's Josh Allen. I think this might be the only team from last year that had won. I know they won 13 games, but I'll just say 12 games. I think that they might be the only team that won 12 games that's going to increase the amount of games that they win. And I think that they get to 14-3 or 15-2 looking at the schedule. They were favored in every game when the books came out. I'm looking at this schedule. I mean, yeah, they might drop against Baltimore, and they might be 9-1 after 10 weeks, but I can definitely see them being 10-0. Then you got Tampa after that. Huh?
They played Atlanta in the first 10 games. They're gonna.
They're not losing to Atlanta. Okay, that's not happening. Okay, buddy. But they got Tampa after that. I can see the Houston game being a tough one at Houston. But other than that, like this team can win 15 games. Ceiling wise, this team can win 15 games. I think that they can. I think they're probably going to land on 14, but hitting 13 games, their floor being 13 games is definitely, their floor is 13, their ceiling's 15, and they're definitely going to win this division. They'll probably end up as the number one in the AFC. And I think that they got a chance to make a run on it. And what it's going to come down to is, do they play the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs? Because if they don't play the Chiefs in the playoffs, then they might actually make it to the Super Bowl. But if they run into the Chiefs in the playoffs,
that's the
we know how that goes.
I think out of all 32 teams, I believe the Buffalo Bills are the only team I'm 100% certain that they win the division. Every other team, I can give a team like a small, like not 100%, like the Eagles, I can see them maybe losing. The Chiefs maybe losing. The Ravens, a small chance that they lose it. And in the NFC, same thing. I think that the Buffalo Bills are the only team I'm giving 100% confidence that they win their division.
Yeah, I don't know what type of witchcraft Josh Allen is doing to have everything in his life go perfectly right. I mean, getting married to a freaking stunner like that, winning the MVP, having, the craziest time of his life, like everything's just falling in the right order. What could possibly derail this entire situation and change the outcome of where the Buffalo Bills go is if Josh Allen gets offered to be the Madden cover. And if he gets offered that, he better say no. He should just say no, just right off the bat. Like, I don't want that curse. I don't want none of that.
Hasn't he already been on the Madden cover?
I have no idea, man. I haven't played.
Yeah, and he played good that year too. I mean,
he beat the Madden curse.
Well, he made the playoffs. I think that
All
was
right.
that was the year I think he had all those turnovers, but
Listen,
he was
he's-
playing Superman at the same time. That's
he's
the year that was the year that Joe Brady took over the offense at the end of the last 5 games of the season. Speaking of Joe Brady, Chris, your guy from LSU, I believe this might be the last year that Joe Brady is the offense coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. I think that after they have a good year this year, Joe Brady takes a job in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a lot of interviews this offseason. So I mean, if gets it done again, then it's just so hard for offensive coordinators on a good team because, like, yeah, you can call a great
Yeah.
offense with Josh Allen as your quarterback, but the teams calling you up to take a head coaching job suck and don't have Josh
Well,
Allen as a quarterback.
obviously not
So,
capable. Yeah, unless you go into a good situation, which I still think the Bears can be a good situation, unless you're like Ben
I mean, that
Johnson,
was the
where
best situation
like
this
that's another good
offseason.
situation. Yeah, but that's not very common that you're getting that.
No.
Unless you're Dan Quinn too. He got Jaden Daniels somehow, and it all worked out for him. But yeah, this Bills team, defense is usually that's the problem too. Is McDermott, as much as he is a good defensive coach, a lot of his playoff losses is at fault because of the defense. Now you lost 32-29. Yeah, they had a couple failed tush pushes. That's on Joe Brady as well, the way they designed the play. But Sean McDermott gave up 32 points to a Chiefs offense that's not that big of a powerhouse, like what they were doing in the offseason or the regular season. So that does fall a bit on McDermott as well. I think the defense did kind of I feel like they slowly regressed, but they're still average at the worst case.
Yeah, I have the ceiling for the Bills right here, 15-2, and the floor 12-5.
Yeah, that hits the over-under. The over-under is 11.5. I take
Okay.
over.
Well,
Yeah.
then I
Yeah,
have over on
definitely.
both,
Yeah.
even as their floor.
Well, like Alan said, like all their tough games are in Buffalo besides Houston.
Very favorable. Very favorable.
And they will beat Kansas City because they beat them in the regular season. That's usually a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean that's why I marked them down for 10-0. I didn't even think that would be a difference in that first 10 weeks. They got them week 9. I just don't think that it's a difference because they always beat Kansas City in the regular season. So like I'm not worried about that game. The Baltimore game is that it's that first week, and I could definitely see Baltimore winning that game. But after that, I could see them railing off 10 straight wins until they get to Houston. Like this
Until
is
week
just a
4.
team.
Well, I was gonna say I do feel like the
Until week
Bills.
4.
The Bills, I
And then
feel
take
like
another L.
I feel like the Bills every year, the last few years, they lose like a weird game that they should definitely win. I know it was week 1
Week
against
4.
the Steelers a couple years ago. They lost the Dolphins pretty early one year. Like they do that. They'll lose to a team that they should not lose to. And that's just the way. I mean, it happens. It's the NFL. I mean, you have 17 games. You're bound to lose to a team that's below you in the talent department, and that's just the way it goes.
Maybe it's week 15.
Week 4.
No,
Week 15. I like that one.
week 6.
No, not week 6.
Week
Josh
15.
Allen isn't losing Monday night against the Falcons.
Well, week 15, that's at the beginning of the season. So, like,
yeah, that's like late in the season, but week 15, at New England, it's right next to my birthday on the 13th. It'll be on the 14th.
Josh Allen isn't losing a Sunday night game against the Patriots.
Yeah. Oh no! Remember, he lost the one primetime game when it was super windy. So you better hope all that a big windstorm comes back for him.
Yeah. And Josh McDaniels has his number on the offensive side. I don't know how that works, but
yeah, he doesn't do anything for him. But no, I think it's for certain. Like we said, the Buffalo Bills. It's very easy to talk about them because, like you said, everything. And it's cool to see the come up of Josh Allen. Coming in the 2018 draft, the first 2 years, slowly progressing, and in 2020 he takes that big jump and. He hasn't really looked back since. Finally got his MVP last year, and he's been in the AFC Championship a couple times. And like you said, he runs into the Chiefs. Did lose to Joe Burrow once, and the Texans with Deshaun Watson. But I like this team. They're battling with the Ravens, the Chiefs, teams like that in the AFC. That's what it is. The ceiling is Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl.
Let's be honest. I think if we did a tier list of teams in both conferences, I think in the AFC, the top tier is the Buffalo Bills, Ravens, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, I don't even have the Kansas City Chiefs in that same tier. I think it's Buffalo Bills and Ravens. I think those are the two teams that are competing for it. I think the Chiefs are going to fall back a little bit this year.
I've already said the Broncos win the AFC West. We'll talk about that one in probably a few weeks. But, guys, that's a fun episode, man. AFC East out of the way. NFC East, next week. I think that's going to be an exciting division. The Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Commanders. No matter how bad the NFC East is, they're usually fun to talk about. It doesn't matter if they're the NFC least or the NFC beast. They are a fun division to discuss.
Yeah,
No, it's gonna be a close one with the NFC East for sure.
Yeah, I know.
I think the Cowboys get better. I think the Cowboys are a 10 or 11 win team next year. I believe it. I think America's team makes a comeback.
I don't know about
Well,
the
if
coach. I'm not sold on their coach.
Yeah,
if-
that one.
if Mark sucks off Josh Allen, then I guess I'm right, very close to Dak. I mean, you know,
you are
I
on the
think
Josh
that-
Allen band. You're on the Josh Allen. You were just talking about, oh, how everything's fallen for him. He's getting
Well,
married.
No, actually, what I was gonna say, is
sound
like
you were
I can
glazing a little
understand.
bit.
No, I can understand why
Little
people would hate
glaze.
him. Like this is
Well-
the type of person that everything is going so right for him that you should be able to hate him without any like discretion. Like nobody should just be like, oh, why are you just hating on him? No, we're not hating. We're just like, you know what? Things are going a little bit too right for him. This is a guy who's got everything going good.
You hate him until the 2023 season when they lost Dayball and you saw how good he was still doing. Because I still remember the 2021 season. That was the playoff, the 13 seconds. You literally fucking blamed Josh Allen for them losing because he didn't score under 13 seconds and gave Mahomes
Yeah,
that
why
much
didn't
time.
he?
I mean, come on, it's like 13 seconds. What more can you do?
You know what really changed? You know what really changed me on Josh Allen? He won me a fantasy football league. Okay, everything in my life is dependent on fantasy football. Okay, if you're good at fantasy football and you do me right and you win me a league, I'm gonna be your fan for the rest of life. Okay, that's me and Dak. Dak won me a fantasy football league. I'm always gonna be his fan.
I had a chance with Josh Allen in 2022, but that was the DeMar Hamlin year. It was down like 38 points with Gabe Davis and Josh Allen. And I'm not saying I would have won, but I had an opportunity. You know, that could have been a Gabe Davis big game. You know how it is, Josh Allen Monday Night Football. But it is what it is. It's unfortunate. I had to lose because of that. But, guys, can't wait. Like I said, next week, NFC East, it's going to be a fun one. It really is.
I'm excited for NFC West. Let me get in there on the fucking 49ers.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out when you're leaving because I want to get Jake in here for that one. After all the stuff y'all been going through.
Yeah, we need to get in here.
Yeah, attendees. But guys, great episode. I'm Mark Davis. That's Chris Meinhardt. That's Alan Tomasella. This was the AFC East. Please, like I said, give us a follow, give us a like, subscribe to us on everything we do. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at The Sack House.